It's Sunday, July something. Don't really care. This is Pastor Paz for the Lost Bull Radio Network. Not really, but more like a blog network. Anyway, let's get to it. What am I saying about the money pile's about to fall, man? I tell you right now, it's ugly. We're starting to see cracks, big time. And even though the market is way, way up there, there's been more losers in the market than winners. This means that more stocks were down last year and this year than they were up, stocks. And that means smaller companies aren't making any money in the market. Everybody's going after the big fish. Big fish are getting all the money, all the free money that's out there right now. The government keeps on with the QE. And it's really sucking wind, man. That's causing a lot of problems. And how are we seeing the cracks? Well, two places. First, gold and silver are starting to creep up. People are like, uh-oh, the end is coming. And so gold and silver are starting to come back up. Now, gold and silver have been pushed down. The numbers are fake because they've been trying to liquidate those numbers with paper trading, gold paper trading. And they've been trying to artificially keep those numbers down, and they've done so fairly well. But when it comes right down to it, when people really realize that the economy is going to crash, they're going to spend their money on silver and gold. Now, I'm not promoting anybody, silver and gold. I'm just saying that's where it's going to go. They want something solid. They're going to go into something solid, and it's going to be real. It's going to be something real. So they're going into this. We're not seeing a reprieve from oil. People, there we go. Oil is an excellent example, man. I tell you what. Oil's been hanging around $2.25, something like that, between $2.25 and $2.50 somewhere. And gas price. I'm sorry, that was oil prices, but at gas prices, that was gas prices. So, sorry, I'm a little bit. They're way too high. They've been way too high for a long time. They should have been right around $1. Based on the cost of a barrel of oil, which is down well under 50, down under 30. And gas prices should be a whole lot less. So they must have made a deal with the government because they should be getting these guys by, for screwing the customer out there, because they're about, say 80 cents, way over their price point right now where they should be. So they're making money hand over fist. They're getting their oil for low, and they're turning around and they're selling their gas for high. And so that's been happening for a while. And don't tell me that there's a supply demand. There is no supply demand. No, it hasn't changed, and it's been down for a long time. So let's skip on past that, and let's go to, shareholders are starting to squawk. They're squawking. They're getting pissed, right? Because they are not making as much money. And so what's the deal with that? Well, you got to remember, these people that are rich, right? That we call the rich. Anybody over with a worth, not people that make money, but people with a worth over $250,000 a year. Now, those people that are worth, let's say they're worth and they're making money and only making money off of capital gains. Capital gains is what you make as the profits you make on stocks after it's been held for years, and you can sell it. And for 20% tax is all you're going to pay on it, right? Or less, depending on how much money you can squeeze out of there, like for cost of services or whatever you put in there to put in your tax code to make it go even lower. So, in fact, like GE paid zero tax. Or in fact, they got a refund 1 year. GE, the largest company in the world. Now, these investors are like, man, I make a lot. I have like if I have $3 million. If you have $3 million, right, and you're worth that, that means you have like $3 million worth of stock, right? And every year you're making like let's say 10%. That's what $300,000. Even if you paid the full 20%, that's only $60,000. 3 times 2 is 6. So $60,000 comes off the top. They still end up with $240,000 to sit on their butt and do nothing all year long. They're not actually helping the economy, man. They're just pulling money out of it. The money that they probably got for next to nothing, and they probably cheated to do it, or they got lucky to do it. Whatever the case may be, it's actually inflated money, right? They don't actually have that. It's all in the stock market. They can borrow against that, right? So they borrow against it. Now, guess what? They can buy these houses, man, these big-ass houses, or they can buy boats, they can buy cars, they buy all the expensive stuff, right? I'm going to go on trips, I'm going to buy a lot of alcohol, man. You would be surprised how many people I know have like they're drunk every single night. They got lots of money. So they're living off this, right? And they're starting to feel a little pain because they know what? That 10% is dwindling down to like 4% or less because you know what? The market may seem to be up, but again, stocks are down. So they're freaking out. They're like, man, there's some sturdy stocks out there, glass companies, oil companies, food companies, but they're not making any money. You know why? Because people aren't spending any money. They don't have the money to spend. And so what's happening is they've made their best deals on resources, right? For sand, for gold, for oil, for coal, for whatever it may be, they've made their best deals on these things, and they can't get any better deals on it. So what's left? You have labor, man. You get rid of labor, right? You make it more efficient. You put more robots in to get rid of labor, or you cut the cost of labor and say, hey, you're going to have to cut your cost. Now, in most cases, we're talking about they've already ran out the unions, and they're already paying very low. They're paying way under a livable wage. But yet they want to cut more. Why? So they have more profit. They're like, man, I can't afford to keep my yacht, my house, my cars, put my kids through the best college, go on my big vacations, spend all that money on extremely expensive alcohol, right? And eat like a freaking, King George III, and get fat, dumb, and happy, play golf at all the different places I want to, spend all the money in my purses and my expensive shoes, my wardrobe. How am I supposed to do that if my stock price is a step? I've like most people, that live in the economy today, they live and they use the entire amount. They don't save. We don't have savers in this country. We can't. And a 401k is not a savings account. So you can't use it as a savings account, right? An actual savings account where you put money in, you get interest for it from the bank or from the insurance company. That's what we're looking for, but we're not getting that. And so people are out there, and so are the rich. But the problem is they're out there spending all that money. I guarantee you, they're freaking out. Like I said, they're freaking out. So they're freaking out, and they want to cut the labor wages, right? They want you to. They're telling their CEOs and their staffs, "Hey, I'm not getting as much money. You need to do something about it. Cut wages, so I can have more money." And in many cases, these CEOs are pushing back, saying, "Man, look, we can't. We're already as low as it gets, right? And there's so much competition at this low price because anybody can go anywhere. And if anybody feels uncomfortable in the environment they're at, guess what? Boom, they're getting a new job, right? Because they can. And they move from one place to another. People are moving from one job to another for 20 cents. How screwed up is that? And people and these companies are taking them. You know why? They need them. They need them. There is actually a need out there. We're in a global thing right now. You're like, well, doesn't that mean that the global situation is good? No, it doesn't. It means that they're building up surplus inventory for tax purposes, or they're opening up a new area. That's why the TPP is so important to these rich people, right? The reason for that is because right now every other consumer in the world is realizing they're not able to spend. So these guys need cheaper labor than they have. They're coming out of China. They're like, man, we can't go into China. China's too expensive now. People are starting to realize that they have worth, right? And the energy that it takes to make stuff and the environment they live in, they just can't pollute it, or it fails them, because that's not good for manufacturing either. You can't manufacture in a dump. It doesn't work. Or in sludge, or with bad water, having to filter it. All this stuff, you can't build that way. You can't live that way. You can't build that way. So now they're like, man, we got to get somewhere else. So let's get these other Asian countries in. Let's get our stuff in there, right? Our companies in there, so that we can. That's our last frontier for the cheapest labor in the world, and an environment that we can pollute into. And it'll take a couple of years. Man, I'm gonna make a profit. And I can make enough to retire on, so I have everything I want, right? But a lot of these guys, again, they're like maxed out on what they can have. So they're freaking out right now. Man, I need more money because I got to pay my bills too. I got 2 yachts. I got a yacht here, a yacht there on the East Coast, one on the West Coast. I got houses on the East and West Coast. I'm expecting that return. You've got to get me that return. So you need to start cutting wages. What's the problem with that? That's very short term, right? That is like really short term. That means that they're trying to get cash in on today. When you build a company, you're supposed to be cashing in way down the line as it goes, because you want to see that company grow. That's strength in one place. And that means good wages. People need good wages. Remember that you are not only the beneficiary, the person that works and gets the paycheck, you're also the consumer. So if you're not consuming because you can't afford to, because you're not getting paid enough, guess what? The whole thing collapses. Capitalism, unfeathered, untamed, unchecked, is a runaway for a very small few people. And if the rest of the world collapses, they can still afford for some time to get what they want. But if they extend themselves out too, in the meantime, they will fail as well, which should have happened back in 2008. There should be very, very few billionaires right now, because back in 2008, the economy crashed because of them. But we, the people, bailed them out. We filled the banks with money to make sure that they got to keep their money. And what did? They went after the pension funds. They went after everybody's money. We should have let them fall and then started all over again. It wouldn't have hurt the 99%. It would have helped the 99%. Instead, we're going to do the whole thing all over again. And guess what? Quantitative easing will not help. Not this time. There's already too much money out there. Anyway, I want you to think about that. Remember, all you have to remember is that I am the consumer of the products that are built in companies. If I don't buy it, if I can't afford to buy it, then my job is gone and there is no money. You are also the consumer. Remember that. You are the consumer. Think about that. Think about that hard. And stop whining about people wanting to make $15 an hour. There's a lot of money out there, people. If they close the business, then we need to fight with the government to get us funds so we can have other people start a business in that place. All right. I got to go. Time's up. This is Pastor Paz for the Lost Bull Network. Hey, have a great day. Thanks.